people get started in tutoring with one-to-one. It's the obvious and most easy way to get going. But what if I were to tell you that sticking with one-to-one indefinitely is holding you back in your tuition business? In this video, I'm going to show you how and why group tuition is the future and how you can start transitioning and shifting towards that right now. I'm Ellie, founder of the Hour Tutor. I've been helping teachers and tutors create viable, profitable and ethical businesses since 2013. Let's dive in. The problem with one-to-one tutoring is we are effectively trading our time for money. There's only so many hours in the day, there's only so much of you to go around. So we hit that income ceiling really quickly. And we get burnout because you're teaching back to back, quite often in the evenings and on weekends as well. So that can be a far cry from that vision you had of yourself being a carefree tutor, having more time to spend with your family and hanging out with your friends in the evenings and chilling out and relaxing. So we can also get this sort of admin overload because we're invoicing every lesson, we're prepping every single lesson separately, and we're also having to deal with the headache of people not showing up, rescheduling, chasing invoices. It all adds up and creates a whole lot of stress, and these are hours that you're not being paid for. I just want to bring up the misconception here that many tutors think that more students equal more money, but if you're only teaching one-to-one, then you're leaving a whole load of money on the table and you just hit that wall super quick. So I know you did not start your tutoring business to become burnt out and exhausted and comparing it to the teaching job that you left behind. You started it because you love teaching your subject and you wanted to be free of the constraints of the classroom, right? And what we can often find is we're back in a state of exhaustion and feeling like a hamster running around on a different hamster wheel, but it's a hamster wheel nonetheless. So let's talk more about the power of group tuition. Gone are the days where group tutoring online meant throwing 30 faceless kids into a Zoom room and hoping for the best. No, we're going to work with a really cool structure that's going to streamline everything, and we're only going to target a certain sort of subsector of all the kind of students that you could teach and just zone in on your absolute zone of genius and choose a group of students that you know you can add the most value to. So if you are an A-level biology teacher, that might be that you only teach A-level biology kids who are doing the AQA exam board and who have got ambitions to go to university and study biology, for example, or medicine or something along those lines. So that's what we're talking about here. And we want to supplement your group tuition with an amazing pre-recorded program, and that's what's going to actually help them make more progress in between than with one-to-one. So we all know, the concept of group tutoring means more students, same or fewer hours, more income per hour. You could teach 6 students for £30 each instead of 1 student for £50 in 1 hour. So you do the maths, it totally stacks up, right? But what we want to also eliminate is all that admin, all those cancellations, all those times when a kid can't make a session because they're on holiday or they've got chickenpox or whatever. We want to also deal with that problem. So we want to be paid whether they show up or not. And that's if you have the right group tuition structure in place and you design it as a program, then we can absolutely do that. And ultimately what we want is better results for our students. So we can, peer learning is really powerful, and we all know that one-to-one can be quite stressful and quite intense, both for the tutor and for the student as well. Let's take the case of one of my clients, Claire Davison. Claire Davison is an amazing English teacher. She was teaching AQA, English GCSE, one-to-one for quite a long time and very successfully, but she knew she could work smarter, and instead she felt she was just working harder and longer hours. So we helped Claire switch this up and design an amazing streamlined program. Well, she designed it, we just guided her, and also streamlined her messaging, her marketing, so that she attracted more and more of the right kind of kids. Who did she want? She wanted year 10, year 11 kids studying English, the AQA paper, who were looking to achieve grades 7 to 9. That's exactly what Claire got. When she put in the legwork, she followed the steps in our program, and she ended up selling 4 spots for her 12-week program in just a week at £750 per place in the programme. So well done, Claire, and onwards and upwards with your business, The English Lab. You should check her out. She's doing brilliantly well. So I'm going to outline now the 5 steps you need to take to transition your business from one-to-one to group. And if you want a copy of this so you can actually print it out and look at the steps, you can grab my free group tuition guide below. Now, number 1 is you need to pick a niche. You need to specialise within your specialism. So you might be thinking, Ellie, I'm a maths tutor. I just teach GCSE. Okay, but you need to specialise further. It might be that you specialise in a specific exam board, or like in Claire's case, a specific grade boundary, or for a kid who's got a specific ambition, like going to a red brick university to study that subject further. So choose your niche. Who do you love working with? Who can you add the most value to, and what problem can you solve for them? The second thing you need to do is design your group program structure. So now that you know who you're helping and the problem you're solving for them, how can you take them from where they are now to where it is they want to be in 12 steps, 12 or 10 steps? Bullet that out, because that's going to be your program structure. Okay, you might want to think then, how many students per session could you accommodate? It might be 6, it might be 8, it might be 12. How many would feel good to you? How do we blend then the recorded sessions of your 12-week program into a live structure? That's something that we can help with if you wanted some support with that. And then we need to do the third thing, your support structure. How are you going to support your students in between sessions? The difference between group and one-to-one is you do really need to have some kind of structure whereby they can reach out to you one-to-one. And I don't mean booking hours of time in your calendar. We just want a way that they can message you, email you, and just check in with you so that they can make accelerated progress through your program. And this can actually be more effective than one-to-one, because one-to-one tutors, let's face it, we don't often have the time to reach out multiple times in the week to check on our students' progress. We just pick up where we left off last week. That's if they actually manage to come at all, because they might have a holiday or they might be ill or whatever. We build that structure into our group tuition program without booking hours out on Zoom calls. The fourth thing you need to do is set your pricing. So we're pricing for an outcome rather than an hourly rate. That is a massive mindset shift that we need to make, away from charging per hour and towards what is it worth for that parent to know that their child is going to get that grade so that they can get the future that they so desperately want and deserve, right? You can't put a price on that, so we actually are pricing for the package, the outcome, the transformation, and all of the, thinking about what's it going to cost them not to do it, not to solve the problem. And also we're talking to a specific kind of parent or student, and that is somebody who values time over money. So we're saving them time by saying, I can help your child, you'll nail this, get this problem sorted in 12 weeks, or maybe 16 weeks, or maybe 10 weeks, however long you want your program to be. The next thing we're going to do then is perfect our messaging. Now that we know exactly who we help, how we help them, we know what our program structure is, we've bulleted that out, we are talking to the right people, we then need to actually hone that message so that all our marketing aligns to the program that we're trying to sell. So we talk on our socials, we talk on our newsletters about the problem that we're trying to solve. We empathise with those students, and we know what it's like. We were there once. We know what it was like to be that student. We must never forget that, what it was like to be in their shoes. We empathise with the parent, especially if they're younger students, right? And what it must be like to have that struggle and to not be able to help their child. So we craft lots of messaging around this. We might showcase what they're going to get from our program, the results that some of our students have had. We sort of curate an evergreen ecosystem of assets that we can use in our socials, in our newsletters, and what have you. So those are the 5 steps. Obviously this is a whistle-stop tour, there's much more detail to this, so do download my free guide, which will take you through those steps in more detail. And if you want to take that first step, we have got a product called Nail Your Niche to help you decide what your niche is, and we'll even look at that for you if you email it to us, and give you some tips on how to move forward with your group tuition business. So maybe you're thinking, okay, Ellie, this sounds great, but how on earth do I start? If you've already got one-to-one students, then they're the obvious first people you can ask. You can offer them first access to your group tuition program if you've got enough of them. You can even just start with 2. It doesn't have to be like 3, 4, 5 or 10. Start with 2. Just test the concept, get started. Everything starts with a beginning, right? We often can see other people looking as though they're much further ahead than we are and get just put off by thinking, I'm never going to get to where they are. Well, guess what? They started where you are now. If you remember, like Amazon used to only sell books, now look what they do. Netflix used to sell DVDs, and now look what an empire they have built. And look at my favourite one, YouTube. Used to be a dating service. I didn't even know that. I just looked it up and I was like, wow, who would have thought? But everything starts somewhere and then it evolves, and it's gradual, often so gradual that people don't even notice, yeah? So just start where you are. You can start collecting testimonials from your one-to-one clients now, people you've worked with, people you've taught in the past, just to build that trust so that you can go all in on your new niche and your new message. So the biggest mistakes I want you to avoid is, number 1, waiting till everything is perfect. No such thing. You can probably hear doors banging and kids shouting in my house, because if I waited till the perfect time to record a video, I would never get it done. Underpricing, that's another thing. People often think they have to undercut their one-to-one prices when it comes to their group tuition. That is just not true, not if you structure it the right way. And that obviously brings me on to the final one, which is the final mistake, number 3, is not structuring your lessons properly, like treating it like a one-to-one and just showing up for more than one student in the same way. So there is a bit of groundwork you need to do before you transition away from one-to-one and build a successful group tutoring program, and that does really include building the infrastructure. And that takes time, but once you've built it, those foundations are there, and you gain your time back, and you have opened that capacity for you to earn far more than you ever did as a one-to-one tutor. And coupled with the right structure, your students can make even faster progress and get even better results. So it's a win-win for everyone. So in conclusion, transitioning from one-to-one to group is a smart move, and you can make it. You can absolutely do this as a tutor. It's more scalable, it's more profitable, it's better for you, it's better for your students. So we all love double wins, don't we? If you've been stuck in the one-to-one cycle for quite some time and you don't know how to shift, do grab my free guide below. If you are serious and you really want to make this work, you can even upgrade to the Know Your Niche planner, which is £7, and that's going to help you really define that niche, and we will even look at it for you. If you found this helpful, please be sure to like, subscribe, and please drop a comment if you have any questions about how to go about transitioning from one-to-one towards setting up a group tuition program. See you in the next video.